Welcome to DMMR. This is a podcast about movies, technology, acting, directing, all sorts of things. Well, that kind of falls under the movies. We're not talking about movies like watching movies, but more so the creation of movies. We're talking about writing books, all things that Dijon has done. And, I'm just here as a, to add some flavor, like pepper to a steak. That doesn't add that much flavor though.
Yeah, that's definitely not true. We're also going to be here to talk about incredibly interesting things like technology and computers and, some of the complications that people run across with technologies, like we ran across with getting this podcast set up. And we're also going to be covering video games because I have a favorite company. Their name is Nintendo, and I love/hate the fact that they take a month and a Sunday to come out with a new game. So yeah, we're covering a lot of stuff, not just stuff about Dijon, but stuff that Michael happens to be we'll just say expert. And as well, yeah, he's close enough to an expert. He's an expert. Yeah, expert. We'll go with that. Expert.
I'm definitely an expert tinkerer to get to the point where I figure stuff out. And Nintendo, I remember them. They made the Wii U one of their most popular gaming systems of all time.
So we don't have to throw shade at the best video game company in the world. Yes, they did make the Wii U, but they also made the Switch. The Wii U was experimental. The way I saw the Wii U was that, they wanted to see if the idea of the Switch was really going to work, right? And so they were like, well, we can try it out with the Wii U to kind of get a feel of what using this technology is like. And some of the support didn't quite come through the way Nintendo would have anticipated it or liked it to. However, I personally loved my Wii U. I thought it was a great system.
Honestly, the Wii U is a great system. If you can get one, for $100, the game library alone, to me, is still worth it. I know that they port a lot of stuff to the Switch, but I'll play at Mario Maker specifically. It just doesn't work as well on the Switch without having that second screen. So there's still some games that are still best experienced on the Wii U, and you can still play Breath of the Wild too, which is totally worth it because that was a dual release between the Wii U and the Switch, just to kind of for the Wii U people oh, we ain't forget about y'all. We put out the last game that we're ever gonna make for this system, and then they discontinued after that.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like I kind of feel like the Wii U really was great, just to be honest with you. I honestly thought the Wii U was a wonderful system. I mean, yeah, it had its complications, but it was a great system. Just bad marketing. I feel like some people, literally people that I talked to, did not know that the Wii U was a new system. They thought it was an add-on to the Switch. So yeah, that's where some of that came from.
Yeah, it's just there's gonna be the people that are outside of the video game community and the tech community that don't follow this stuff closely. They just go to the store and see this item on the shelf, and if it says Wii, they're like, oh, I already have a Wii at home. They're not gonna know that that's a new system. So yeah, it just was really bad marketing. But that's part of what I do on Mike Techs It Out. That's part of the goal. Is just I try to make videos for the in-between audience. Maybe you know something about tech, maybe you don't. But I feel like I try to explain enough so that people that don't follow it regularly, especially my news videos, I try to explain enough so that everybody knows what's going on. I just don't like personally watching a tech video where they just go 200 miles per hour and just assume that all this stuff. And because I think with everything that we do, I mainly do tech and I do my YouTube videos, but you do acting, directing. You've written 2 books, So there has to be stuff, but I feel like there's always going to be stuff that you're not familiar with, even within that space, because there's definitely stuff like in the tech community that I'm not familiar with. But I hate when I'm trying to find something and then it's just like they're just explaining it at a level that I don't understand because I'm not there yet.
Yeah, oh my god, I'm so glad you said that. Honestly, I definitely run across that with issue in like film. Like my big thing that I struggle with in film is like audio. And it's just mainly because like audio has so many like terms and everything and I'm just what are you saying? like it's so crazy, but like notoriously on film sets, the audio team, they are usually completely unappreciated. Because they're just looked at as, oh, they're just the audio people. But then like now that I'm like doing voiceovers and everything, and I just booked my first job for narrating an audiobook. Super excited about that. But now that I'm switching over into doing like more stuff that involves me to have at least like a novice knowledge about audio, I have so much respect for the sound team in film. I'm just like, man, you guys are geniuses. You guys are really doing all the hard work, and we are just idiots here to support your vision.
Oh man, I'm glad you mentioned that too, because like that was one of the things. Because I do music, very, 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 very amateur music. Let's be clear about it. But I do all the music and stuff for the channel. Um, but when I started YouTube, I was like, oh, I already have all this audio gear. It's gonna be easy to convert over to doing it, for videos. And it was just not. It's completely different. Like the crazy thing about audio is like depending on what you're doing, is the setup for it is like 110% different for each thing that you do. Like for shooting videos, like for this podcast, I have my condenser mic, I have the little sound screen out, but I can't use this in the video. I mean, I am recording myself on video, but I have to record it from a higher angle just because I have to be be able to see me over this big screen thing that I have in front of me. But like in my normal tech video, I can't use this because it's going to be too big and it's going to be in the way. So I have to find another way to get audio.
Yeah.
And it's just like, there's all kinds of microphones. And then also it's like, you really have to have, especially if you're shooting a movie, you have to have backups, because there's been times where I've had to completely reshoot videos because something stupid happened with the audio and it's just been a mess. And it's like one of those things that you don't know it's important until you have to deal with it. Like nobody is like, like nobody goes and watches a movie like, that audio was outstanding, but they'll definitely, but they'll definitely know if there's something wrong with it though. Like,
yeah. It's just so funny that you said that because like, in the past couple of years, I now have become the person where like I will go to a movie and like I pay so much attention now to like the audio, and like if the audio isn't good, I sit there and silently judge in my head. I'm just like, how dare you give so little crap about what you're doing that you would not make the audio worthy. Shame, shame, shame on you. Like, I hate going to movies and I cannot hear what the actors are saying. That really, really annoys me. And like I get like the struggles that you go through with audio because like I don't have like a loud booming voice, and on top of that I live in a house with like extremely thin walls. So like I try to keep my voice down, and so I always have to like turn my voice up whenever I'm like doing something audio wise. But still, like, come on, like if you are releasing a whole feature film, and or even if it's like a short film or a short or a trailer or whatever, you should know that, hey, these actors probably want to be heard unless this is just like a silent movie or something. But yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of it is just like you can mitigate a lot of it by just kind of testing it. But I've definitely been in that situation before. I'm like, oh, I should be good, and then I'll record the whole video. I'm like, man, that audio is just garbage. And I've definitely put out videos with bad audio. And my biggest issue though is mixing, because like when I'm doing like my background music, it's crazy how low you have to make it. Because like when I'm listening to it in editing, and then that's another thing. Like if you're recording something, and then after you when you're recording something, it's like at its highest quality. Like you have all this high quality stuff. But then when you export it, you're already losing some of that quality. And then if you're uploading it to another platform, you're losing more quality on top of that. So like when I'm editing something, it'll sound good. Like I'll be like, okay, this music sounds is here, but it's not loud enough where it's drowning me out. And then by the time the video is on YouTube, it's like the music and my voice are like at the same level, and I'm like, why?
Oh my god. If I were near you right now, I don't know what I do, but I do something to like say thank you for saying that. Because so like whenever I'll record like my demo reels, my voiceover demo reels or whatever, the one thing I notice is like while I'm like editing, like I adjust it enough to where like the music isn't overpowering my voice. But then like I'll export it and it's like out of nowhere the music will be like and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, what? I literally just spent like fucking 30 minutes to like an hour correcting this and editing, and now like I've exported it and it's just it destroys, it feels like it just destroyed all of my hard work.
It's so true because like it doesn't make any sense. Like my earlier videos, like I just remember getting a bunch of comments like, yeah, you need to turn the music down. I'm like, but it was already at like -15. Like how was it so loud?
Man, the struggle is real on that. Like that literally, it drives me crazy. It does. But I mean, I love it. I love hate it, you know. But yeah, audio stuff is no joke. So for all you people out there who underestimate audio and the wonderful, wonderful sound engineers and the wonderful people who deal with audio, give them a pat on the back, bake them a cake, bake them some cookies, be like, look, I just want to tell you that you are loved, you are appreciated, everything you do is miraculous, because without you, I would just be moving lips and a pretty face on screen, and in some cases not a pretty face. But anyway, yeah. Audio, thank you. Big thumbs
Audio.
up.
I don't know. I think it was on my mind because we just spent like 2 hours getting trying to get this podcast started on the official episode 1, and then also episode 0, which we recorded a week ago and decided not to release because it was the reason it was episode 0 is because that was gonna be the test episode anyway. So we weren't, I was like, this might get released, this might not, and then my audio ended up being trash because I accidentally recorded like multiple streams of my, so I recorded your audio and my audio together, and then also I recorded the desktop audio, which was also playing my audio again. So it just so it ended up being like a really bad echo throughout most of the thing, and I was like, yeah, it's unusable. Like we could have put it out, but I think at the beginning, like I've been doing technically I've been doing YouTube since 2018 from my first channel, but Mike Text It Out has been around since January of 2019. But yeah, my first channel, I probably would have been like, oh, you know what, it's fine, but I just didn't want to start this. I really didn't want to start this off on a bad foot, so here we are. And speaking of that, you recently got a bunch of stuff. You got new Apple products. You got a whole new audio setup to do your voice recordings. How has that experience been?
Oh my god, it's been really interesting, honestly. I should stop playing with my fingernails. I'm sorry, I'm distracted. Like, it's been really interesting because man, where do I start? I'll start with the one I got first, the MacBook. Oh my god, super cool. So excited. I will say that some of the excitement, now that I'm almost like a month into having it, is starting to wear down a little bit, because I'm like, okay, I love MacBooks, but they do come with, they come with the little complications here and there. Nothing too big. Just small stuff. I definitely realized that, one, this is a laptop. Let me put that disclaimer out there. So, and I'm only saying that because of what I'm about to say. You should not run too many things at once. Which is something that I have a problem with because this is technically the first laptop I've ever bought. Everything that I had a laptop that was given to me a few years ago, actually by you, was given to me a few years ago. But for the most part, I've always owned really good desktops. And on desktops, you can run like 60 things at once and they're completely fine. Um, on laptops, no, 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 no. You have to, and especially on this MacBook, I have to watch. It's made me definitely be more cognizant of the amount of tabs I have open, the amount of browsers I have open, the amount of apps I have open, and honestly, it's a little frustrating for me because like my attention span can be all over the place, and especially because like everything that I do connects. So sometimes it will be absolutely necessary for me to have like two or three apps open at once, which I feel like max four apps is okay. I, if you can avoid it, avoid it. But I feel like having like four apps open at once, it's fine, and it's just because like I have to switch between like Final Draft and then my audio stuff, and yeah, it's a lot. But overall, I love having my MacBook. Honestly, this thing has become literally my best friend. I stopped talking on the phone as much because I have a MacBook now. I'm just like, who needs people when you got a MacBook? Just kidding. I'm not a sociopath. But
And
yeah.
that's good for you.
That wasn't very convincing, but thank you. But yeah, and then like um iPhone, my beautiful, oh wow, I almost picked the phone up. I'm so glad I didn't. Um it's bad enough I started disclaimer, started the recording like 2 minutes late. Oops, sorry. The video recording anyway. But yeah, like the iPhone 11 Pro is what I have, and it's the first iPhone I've ever owned. And so, whenever I was making the decision to get one, I was like, look, if I'm gonna own an iPhone, because I was hearing too many opinions, and so many people were just like, oh,
I was trying to talk you out of it. I was really trying to get you to get the regular iPhone 11, but
yeah. It's so funny, like the amount of like opinions that I heard, and then someone was just like, it was my cousin actually. He was just like, "Oh, are you so? What kind of iPhone are you getting? Are you getting an iPhone 6?" And I was like, "iPhone 6?" I'm like,
no, I wouldn't have had to get anything before the 8. And that's not because it's bad, but like at least the 8. Well, it wouldn't even be a point in getting the 8 now because they just came out with the SE2, and that's literally the iPhone 8, but with a way better processor.
yeah,
So it wouldn't even make any sense to buy that. But like the minimum I would recommend is the SE right now, which by saying minimum is actually a really good phone. It literally has the same processor as like the 11 and the 11 Pro. It's like $400. It's just, you're getting that old form factor, and you're getting a not nearly as robust camera system. And then obviously this, screen and all that stuff. But still a
yeah,
great phone.
mm,
I don't know. I was just iffy about it because like, so last year I had the 10s Max, and then Jeff had the regular 10s, and he actually went down to the 11 this year. So the main difference with like the Pro, or what used to be just, I don't know. I'm glad they did the Pro designation because their name and convention used to be terrible. But the difference between the Pro and the regular is the Pro has an OLED screen, which, me personally, I love just having the OLED screen because with OLED, like if something's black on the screen, that part of the screen is completely off. Like each individual pixel is lit. So like
yeah,
when you watch a movie or you watch something back up there, it just looks amazing.
mm-hmm,
So that's the main difference between the Pro. The resolution's higher, and then you have the telephoto camera. But with the regular 11, you still have the ultra wide, and then you have like the regular. You just don't have the one that zooms in. So I don't know. I was just trying to, for me, is it worth paying an extra? Because I think I paid like 1,100 for my 11 Pro. For me, it's worth paying that extra money because I do like having those features. But yeah, if you were just looking for the camera, I would just say like the 11 is almost as good, except you don't get the telephoto. But I think I just recommend the 11 because personally I hate the telephoto lens on the iPhone. I think it looks grainy all the time. Like no, like no matter what the lighting is, like every time I use a telephoto, I'm like, this lens is like the worst. Like I just don't even like it. Yeah, it looks a little bit better than obviously doing a digital zoom on the iPhone 11. But I just think
Mm-hmm.
telephoto is trash and not worth it. But knowing you, you're probably gonna do some light video editing and stuff on your phone, in which having that OLED screen does make a big difference as far as the color accuracy and all that, which you're able to see on your phone. And then also that phone does HDR too, which if you watch anything up there is amazing, especially if you're watching like a good quality movie or something.
Oh my goodness, yes, it is. And honestly, yeah. I love the telephoto lens. I mean, yeah, it does get grainy. I noticed that whenever like I'll zoom in whenever I'm like recording all of my videos of nature, and I really have to find more things to film besides nature. But I find nature just to be so interesting for some reason. I don't know, but sometimes I will notice it's grainy. I haven't really found a way around it, but there are times that I guess maybe with like my positioning or whatever, it can manage to like get rid of some of the graininess. And like you said, um editing is a miracle worker. So, you know, in any case, I can just get rid of a lot of the flaws during editing. But no, I'm very very glad that I got the 11 Pro. I mean, I do believe the 11 would have been just as good, but I'm very glad I got the 11 Pro. It just feels like it's so weird. It feels like this phone was like made for me. I was just like, you know what, this is the right year to get an iPhone, because when everybody was telling me like, oh, get an iPhone 11 or get an iPhone 8, get an iPhone 6, I was just like, nah. I was like, if I'm going to go in and get an iPhone, I'm going to get the best one. Like, I I have been struggling with thoughts of buying this since I was like 19 years old.
I'm gonna be honest. I recommend like an SE or an older iPhone to someone that wants to save money, but I'm just too shallow to go back to that design. Like I can't go back to that design. Like I look at it and like now that I've had the no home button and all that stuff, I look at that phone and I'm like, it just looks so old now. And the crazy thing is, I just had like an iPhone 7 like 2 years ago.
Yeah, for me, it's just like, as a filmmaker, if I'm going to spend my money on any piece of technology or anything in general, but particularly on any piece of technology, then it has to be something that's going to help me out with my career somehow. And like, I am confident that I can shoot a good short film on my iPhone. I would not shoot a feature just because, features are just a whole different ball game. But I'm confident that I could shoot a really good short film on this 11 Pro, and it would turn out looking very beautiful. Granted, I most likely would have another camera, a mirrorless camera as well. But in any case that I, just wanted to just like mess around a little bit, or even if I wanted to film like a music video, um, I feel like this phone would be absolutely perfect for it. I feel like the book trailer that I did a while ago would have actually been, I could have filmed that on my phone and been completely fine. I think it would have turned out just as great, or even better maybe, than it turned out. But yeah, very very confident in this phone. But yeah, as you were saying about the SE, for people who are not professionals, like who don't want to use the iPhone for professional reasons, I would highly recommend, and if it's you're looking for your first iPhone, I would definitely recommend the SE. Honestly, it's I remember the guy at Verizon trying to sell it to me, and I sort of gave him the death stare. He was just like, well, if you're just starting off, you could just, and I just looked at him. I was like, no, that's not what I want. I'm just like, no, I'm not trying to get an iPhone just to say I have one. But for people who are wanting to make that, or thinking about making that switch to an iPhone, and they want to get the experience, SE, best bang for your buck. hands down.
Yeah, it's funny because is the iPhone still like a status symbol thing? Because in reality, like, first of all, there are a lot of Android phones that are just as expensive, and that, in my opinion, the design is way better. Like Samsung has been killing Apple, like as far as their phone designs for like the last 3 or 4 years, in my opinion. Like their phone design, like the actual phone itself, look way better than iPhones.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
No, I agree.
so,
I agree.
so I don't even know if it's like, do people still do that? Like, is that still like a status symbol thing to have an iPhone? Because I just don't feel like it has the same prestige as it once did. As far as like, I mean, as far as like, oh, I have an iPhone, like, oh, it's expensive. Like, like how it used to be back in the day. I just feel like when you get
Yeah.
to that upper, like when you get past the $600 phone, then you get to the iPhones, you get to the Samsung Galaxies, somewhat the Google Pixel, but that's not really that expensive. It's like usually around $700-800. But you get to that high end phone range, and they all scale up to the same prices. They all are between $700 and $1,000, a little bit over 1,000. So
Yeah,
I'm just
honestly, if I remember correctly, there are some Samsung phones that are more expensive than the 11 and the 11 Pro.
yeah,
Um,
the God, I forgot what that phone's called. It's like the S20 Ultra. It's like fourteen hundred
yeah,
dollars,
yeah.
and that's just that. And that has, if you got the $1,400 um Pro, like the Pro Max, I think it's only like $50 more, and then it has way more storage than that phone does. So it's like crazy. The pricing, it's gotten a little bit out of control. But the thing is, I was the first one to probably defend Apple when they came out with the iPhone 10 and it was like $1,000. And I was like, first of all, we've already been really close to $1,000 anyway. Like that's obviously where it was gonna go. But
Yeah.
then like everybody else just hopped on the bandwagon. But the thing is it worth paying that $1,000? And I never bought an iPhone that was over $1,000 and didn't feel like it was worth it. Like I didn't feel like I wasn't getting a premium product. Like Apple's build quality is still outstanding. A lot of people don't like the whole notch thing. It's never bothered me because like, the front facing camera is so good. Like I'm using it right now to
Mm-hmm.
record this video, and it's so like as far as a selfie cam, it's pretty much on par with like it's almost on par with the back camera, and a lot of phones can't say that. Like the front facing camera is usually crap,
Oh
and
goodness, yes.
so I don't know. To me, I might be a little bit of and I wouldn't say I'm an Apple fanboy. I'm definitely an iPhone fanboy. I will say that for sure, just because I love their software support and um, the software itself. Aside from this fact that they support their phones for so long, it's just everything works. Now, granted, there are things that you're giving up, like as far as flexibility that you get on Android phones to run multiple apps and all kinds of all the crazy stuff that they can do over there on Android. You have a lot more customizability. But for me, for my phone, when I'm not doing something important like recording a video or something that's professional, some semi-professional work, then I just want to be able to quickly get my phone, do the things that I need to, and get back out without any issues. And that's why I stick to iPhone, because I don't like outside of that. What do I do on my phone? I browse the web, I watch YouTube, I check my messages. I could do that on an Android phone too, but like every time I've used an Android phone, I've just always run into so many issues just doing the basic stuff. Like with crashes, it's always gotten on my nerves. So and it's not like the iPhone doesn't have crashes too, because there's times where certain apps just don't work well on the iPhone.
Yeah.
But I just felt like there was more frequent, like operating system as a whole issue, like crashes that I just couldn't deal with personally. So that's my personal reason for sticking to the iPhone. Now, if we're talking about Mac, like a MacBook versus a PC, I'm more on the PC side. I do have my MacBook, but at this point, it's just not getting used. And and you know whose fault that is? It's literally Apple's fault.
Yeah.
And let me tell you why. Because they made the iPad Pro, and the iPad Pro is like literally like I just been in this mood lately where I've been thinking about it, and I'm like, I use my iPad Pro more as a laptop than I do my MacBook. Like if Logic Pro was up there, I wouldn't have a MacBook right now. Like Logic Pro is the single reason that I keep the MacBook. But like once they put that, even if it's a limited version of Logic Pro, I'm just done with the I'm done with the MacBook. Especially with they added trackpad support recently. So like, and the way I use it, like when I'm going to bed, I have a trackpad. I have one of the Apple trackpads hooked up to it, like over Bluetooth. And I already had a keyboard case, so I have my trackpad and keyboard set up right at my bedside. So I'm just sitting there like browsing, using it like a laptop, like on my bedside, and it's so small and it's so portable. And then when I need it as a tablet, I just detach it from the keyboard, and I'm still using it as a tablet with the pencil and everything.
Mm.
Like, it's such a versatile machine, and I do all of my channels, thumbnails and art and stuff, all on my iPad, using Affinity Photo. So I actually use it more for work than I do my MacBook at this point. So
Mm.
that's just my thing. It's like I'm really excited for the future of the iPad, and then the MacBook. I'm just like, well, when I need that brute force, like when when I'm doing video editing, I prefer just to be on Windows because I can build out my desktop the way that I want it. Like, not have to worry about RAM limitations or graphics limitations, because it's like when you buy the MacBook, you're kind of just locked in. Like, you can't upgrade the RAM. Yeah, you haven't been able to do that for a long time. You can't upgrade the hard drive. Like, you're literally just locked into whatever SKU it is that you buy. That's why when you were looking, and I know you were looking for like the under $1,000 price point, I was like, don't get the MacBook Air, because the one you would have got for the price, you wouldn't have had that much storage, and then you would have been stuck with like 8 gigs of RAM with a really low power processor. Um, that really couldn't do much, so that's why I had you get that 2015 one, because I was like, this has 16 gigs of RAM, which is at least standard. I don't know why Apple still sells notebooks with 8 gigs of RAM starting off, but they do. um, and then I think it has the 512 gig hard drive. And I was like, if you get a computer now with an Apple computer now with those specs, you're gonna be paying like around 2,000.
Yeah.
So that's why I recommended that computer for you. But yeah, I don't have a problem with MacBooks. I don't think that the experience is really that much different between using that and Windows. It's just I'm not willing to pay for the amount of power that I want on the Mac side, because it would just be really expensive. And I think I realized that when I got my last MacBook, and it was like $2,400 for a 256 gig hard drive. And just because I was like, if I'm gonna get one, I'm gonna get a Core i7. I'm getting 16 gigs of RAM, and I did get that, but I just didn't want to spend the extra on the hard drive space, which you can't upgrade it. Like, all you could do is plug in external drives. So that's where I'm at. And then they finally come out with a desktop, and it's $6,000 starting off for specs that are pretty much like on par with the $1,500 Windows computer. And I'm like, yeah, I get why you're making this. And it's good that they made the Mac Pro, and they made it only for professionals who are obviously, movie studios and stuff like that. They're already on the Apple platform, are definitely going to buy it. But
Yeah.
it would have been nice if they made something for consumers, like an Apple desktop for consumers that's not a freaking all-in-one or a laptop, because I hate the iMac. That's the one, that's the one that I can honestly say that I hate, because after I had my first MacBook, I ended up buying an iMac, and then I had that for like 2 years, and I was like, I hate this, because it tries to be like a desktop, but it's literally the same as like a laptop, except it's more annoying because it takes up more space.
Yeah, I could say that this MacBook was the perfect thing for me to start off with. I will say that in the foreseeable future, I'm going to keep it for sure. That's no doubt about that, because I'd love this baby to death. But I will say in the foreseeable future, I will certainly be getting a desktop. Um, just to kind of help handle some of the stuff that I'm like slowly learning and getting into. Um, but I think with just like the super basic audio editing that I do on here, and the fact that I literally primarily wanted this computer to get Final Draft, um, it serves its purpose. And it goes above and beyond serving its purpose. Now, there's some things like trying to use different apps. It's just frustrating. And there's times that I definitely look at it and I'm just like, okay, Final Draft works really well on you. I'm going to just keep you for screenwriting and working on my books and everything. And
Yeah, I didn't want to break it to you yet, but you probably have to fully reset your computer to fix a lot of the issues that you're running into. Because I've had this same issues before, and ultimately that's what I ended up having to do, is just kind of fully reset everything and not restore from a backup, and just kind of do everything over again. And yeah, especially with because currently right now, because obviously their viewers and listeners don't know, like your FaceTime and messages aren't even working at all on the MacBook.
Yeah, not at all. Um, if it becomes absolutely necessary, I'll do it. I'm trying not to do it just because I don't want to go through the trouble with Final Draft.
Yeah, because it's like you got everything set up and all the programs you need,
Yeah.
and that's why I was like, uh, I mean, I know that's probably what it's going to end up being, but messages. First of all, messages on the MacBook isn't that great, and neither is FaceTime, especially with that camera. So
I wouldn't even think about using FaceTime on that thing. This, I would look like a grain of rice. Literally, that's when I tried just looking at myself on that camera. I was like, wow, they shouldn't have. They literally shouldn't have. It's bad when like my freaking $100 Android has a better front facing camera than my MacBook. Like that's really bad. But but yeah, honestly, like I said, I'm just gonna use it for what it's good for and keep it at that. You know, Final Draft works really well on there as opposed. So sorry, iPhone. I love you. I know Apple's recording my conversations because people say Apple records everything. Listen, trying to use Final Draft mobile, I, 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 I was like, what is going on? Like, it wouldn't um import any of my stuff from the regular Final Draft. Like, it shows up, but it's all like it has like that shallow thing where I can't click on any of it. And it's super weird.
got you. It's probably one of those things because a lot they'll do that with mobile programs, which gets on my nerves. It's probably one of those things where you can import stuff from mobile to the computer, but then once you put it like once you do a project on the computer, then it's probably too complex to port it back to the mobile side of it.
That's
Probably what it is.
Yeah, what you just said, that is exactly it. Like I can easily put it from mobile to the computer, but I can't do it reverse, which is slightly frustrating for me because I'm a person that always likes to be on the move, always likes to work. If I'm not, obviously I don't want to carry a freaking MacBook with me everywhere I go, but my phone is always going to go with me. So, you know, I wanted to be able to do something on my phone, bam, send it to my MacBook. But it's all cool. Like I have ways around it. It's good if I'm like starting off a writing project and then get as far as I can get while I'm out, and then I could just, export it to my computer. But it's all good. Like I said, it's you learn where to set your expectations at. And Final Draft Mobile was only $10 compared to Final Draft for the Mac, which was $200. So I didn't expect the programs to work the exact same.
Yeah, I just hate the split right now. That's why. Well, I'm not really a Photoshop user anyway. It's not, and not because Photoshop is bad. I just literally have never used it. I always use GIMP, and then which sounds this is a terrible name.
That is a horrible name, GIMP.
But what I needed like an actual program because GIMP is good, like it's powerful, but it's just like it's not the most user friendly. But that's why I moved to Affinity Photo. It doesn't. It's just like you're getting a full experience on an iPad versus like, oh well, here's Photoshop Mobile where you can do some of the stuff and then you can move it to like, no, I want to complete this whole thing on my mobile device. Like that's why I bought this program, not just like a limited number of things. Like obviously Affinity doesn't have the same amount of functions as Photoshop, but I think my thumbnails are looking pretty good, most of the time. Considering I'm doing all of them on my iPad. And I just have a very limited skill set when it comes to photo editing anyway. So for me, it's literally easier and it's a better experience. And I think that's how mobile applications should be built. I think that major developers have to stop looking at it as like a secondary thing and be like, this is a counterpart to the desktop version. It has to be able to do the same things just in a different way. Like it has to be designed for that touch interface, and they have to figure out creative ways to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, kind of like the game that Photoshop talked and then Photoshop came out and it was extremely limited.
Absolutely. And I feel like, and I'm not like, trying to come for any particular company when I say this, but I feel like some of them do it on purpose because they know that for the desktop programs, they can obviously charge more money than they're going to charge for the mobile app. And in most cases, the mobile app is free or darn near free. And so I feel like with the mobile apps being less money, they put a lesser amount of effort into them, and they just kind of like have this attitude. Well, if you want the full thing, get the desktop. But I don't think that's really fair because it's nice to be able to work on something with like multiple in multiple formats, and to not have to like always have your desktop or your laptop with you to just work on something. That's just frustrating to me. um I like to be able to work on like one thing on a variety of different platforms so that my mind is just always going, and I'm able to produce the work as it comes to my mind. And it's not like I forget about it by the time I can get home to like my laptop or something. But I don't know. Again, that's just me.
Yeah, and it's kind of like the same thing. Like that's why I have an iPhone, right? Because when I'm at home, obviously I'm going to be shooting my films with I would say films, they're not films. Some of them are like films. But I shoot my videos with like the GH4, and I just recently got the GH2 for $80, which is amazing. But like you see my IKEA struggles video. We were leaving IKEA and I got that idea and I was able to just do the whole video because I had my phone with me. It wasn't like a compromised experience. It's just a different experience.
Yeah.
Shooting video on the phone versus using a camera is a completely different experience. For me, it's a different editing process, but a part of me just has more fun with it because it's a different medium. But I don't feel like, if I needed to, like, my cameras are broken, I have to shoot with my phone, I don't feel like it would be a compromise. Like,
Yeah.
it's just as good. The only thing that I notice is the reason that I don't like use my phone a lot of the times is because the bit rate just isn't as high as a phone. The sensor's not as big, so you're just not capturing as much data, and that's something that you'll really notice. Like if I'm doing an unboxing and I'm trying to capture like the over the top angle with my phone, and I zoom in, there's just significantly less data. Like you definitely see a lot more noise than you do with a proper mirrorless camera.
Yeah.
If you're recording video, at least from my experience, and that's why I really wanted two mirrorless cameras. But I feel like the apps have to be the same way. Like, yeah, obviously a phone can't physically have the same size sensor as a DSLR or the same lenses, but they still manage to do amazing video. So these apps, it has to be the same thing. Like, obviously you're not going to have mouse and keyboard support. I mean, you can have mouse and keyboard support, but that can't be the primary input because not everybody's going to have a mouse and keyboard hook up to their phone to use the program. So you need to design these features and think about how you can make them work on this new platform. Because in all honesty, I think that computers, maybe in the next 10 or 15 years are going to be basically what, tablets and our phones are now, because those are the computers that everybody's using.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can see this next generation that's growing up now. Like, if we're just being born, right? Let's say, like, by the time you're 10, what's the likelihood of you actually using, like, a desktop regularly? Like, they have iPads and other tablets in classrooms now. Like, maybe there's, like, a very specific thing that you have to do. Like, I can imagine, like, the old science software that that the school uses only runs on like some kind of 98 like HP desktop that they have in the library still. But I just feel like everything otherwise is going to move to that. So I just think this generation is growing up like this is going to be what the computer is to them, and they're going to want to be able to do all the stuff that they need to on these devices. And I think that need is going to drive better software development for phone apps and tablet apps.
Yeah, that is extremely innovative, and it's a very good point because honestly, like I didn't think about it until you said it, and then when you said it, it hit me in my head, and I'm just like, whoa. When I think about somebody that's like 5, and maybe that's a little bit of a stretch. I'll say somebody. Let's see, my cousin is, yeah. So somebody that's like 10 years younger than me, like they didn't grow up with desktops. I don't think that most of them even like they may know generally what a desktop is, but they've probably never used one. Like 60% of them have probably never even used a desktop. And if they have used one, it's been very passively. They certainly haven't owned one. Um, and so yeah, I definitely think with like the generation of people that are kids now, or that are like just being born, they're probably gonna have no clue. Like desktop is just gonna be a dinosaur to them. Like
Yeah.
it's gonna be something they look at in the history books and be like, hey, we used to have these things called desktops, and it's gonna be like, oh my god, I can't believe you used that. I can do that on my phone.
It's kind of like when we watch those old videos and like the first computer was literally the size of a room, and they're gonna be walking through like a museum, like yeah, the computer used to be like half the size of your desk.
Or like whenever I love showing kids like the old cell phones, and granted I never owned one of them because I was a kid in the 90s. However, and most of my family didn't even have cell phones back then, with the exception of maybe like one or two family members, really like one from what I think I remember. But we all had landline phones, and like I love watching like older 90s shows. Like my favorite show, I literally watch it every single day, is the X-Files. And sometimes I'll look at like the cell phones that they're using, and I'm just like, Jesus, what if these kids saw this cell phone? They'd be like, what is that brick that you're putting up to your ear? And just all the connection issues that they had. It reminds me of the first time I used dial up. And like
Oh God.
luckily I didn't have internet when I was like a small kid. I the first time I got internet was when I was like a preteen. And so right around that time was like when high speed internet was one, it was called high speed internet as if it was like something big. But there was like
It was. I had dial up, so it really was like mind blowing.
and I think the middle one was called DSL. I want to say it was, what isn't that what it
Yeah,
was?
DSL still exists. It's because some people don't. They just live in areas where they can't get cable. So
That's extremely sad.
yeah, it's more like a lot of the rural areas. Actually, Tesla is. Well, I don't know if it's specifically the company Tesla, because Elon Musk has a bunch of different companies, but one of his companies is working on like some high speed satellite internet for areas like that where they can't get like cable or fiber internet.
I am applauding him for doing that. That's good because those rural areas, they need it. Like I had so I never, like I said, I never had dial up. I used it over my younger cousin's house actually. Um and man, I gave up. I was like, what is this? What it like this is what this is what people call the internet. That was my introduction to the internet. And I was so frustrated that like I didn't even want to use it. Like I would literally only use it to go to like, I want to say IGN.com, but I'm not absolutely sure it was IGN. And game.
They had too many pictures up there. You shouldn't have been up there.
No comment. But and then it was like one more gaming website that I used to frequent a lot. But oh man, what was it called? Was it called like GameSpot? I think it was called GameSpot.
Yeah, I was gonna say GameSpot. GameSpot was like the most popular gaming site for a while.
Yeah.
Actually, well, the funny thing is, you know how I listen to I don't know if you remember, but I listen to Giant Bomb all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Giant Bomb is like a lot of those people that used to work on that site. The one I think he was the editor in chief at the time. Like in 2008, he got fired from there, so a lot of the staff left and went with him, and they started Giant Bomb. So I actually know quite a bit about GameSpot because I used to like watch. I used to go to that site like all the time. But Yeah, it was like I just remember downloading like a 9 second video, like and doing anything with video on dial-up was just like terrible. But like you could get like a really grainy, like really low quality video after like 2 minutes, like at 9 seconds of a video, and it's crazy how bad it was. But it was still amazing at the time because I think I was like 8 or so when we got our first computer, which was like a ghetto computer my mom bought from some guy at Burger King, like in the parking lot for $50.
Oh
But
my god.
I didn't care. It was like my first interaction with like having my own computer at home, and it was just like amazing.
Yeah.
And then something happened to it, ended up dying like after a year or so. But and I didn't know enough about computers then to fix it. And plus, it was that old stuff, back when they had parallel ports and all kinds of stuff that you just wouldn't want to have to deal with at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're not really complex now that I know about them, but definitely like at 8 years old, I wouldn't have known how to open up a computer and figure out what was wrong with it. So that was my first experience, and yeah, but I mean, it's terrible as it sounds though. But that back when that was the only option, it was still amazing. Like just to be able to go online and having that concept of I can talk to anybody in the world, like it was just amazing. Now everybody just does it on their phone all the time, so it's not even amazing anymore. Like like you tweet something and it goes out to millions of people
You've got
instantly.
you've got mail. Yeah, I remember the first time cuz I would always hear it like, different places and everything. But then the first time that I owned a computer, it wasn't even my computer, it's my older brother's computer cuz he's just like one of those people that's just like a computer genius. He learned how to build his own computer at like 12. But yeah, the first time that we had a computer and I got to hear the AOL "You've Got Mail" thing, I swear my life changed. I was like, oh my god, I've got mail. This is so cool, and it's Jesus. But anyway, yeah, I remember going through. We had uh, DSL for literally 3 hours. um we were trying to load up a web page. It did not work. My brother snapped. He was like, no, we are not using this. We're getting high speed internet. I don't care how much our grandmother has to pay for it. And I was just like, I don't know how you're gonna talk her into like $80 a month, but okay. And literally he just asked and she was just like, yeah, okay, that's fine. And man, high speed internet changed my life. I was like, oh my god, so many things I could look up at once, and I was a kid, so it was primarily video game stuff and chat rooms that I was too young to be in. But but yeah, I'm so grateful for what the internet has done. Like completely shifted our world, and I just feel like you know, I don't think that younger people, most, there's some that grew up in, rough, rough neighborhoods or, rough households. But I don't think that most younger people even know what it's like to have a life without internet, which is simultaneously good and bad. um,
Yeah, I don't know. The thing with me was, as much as I love the internet and technology, but there's a part of me like when I look back at my childhood before it was a big thing, because even when internet first started becoming a thing, it was still like a lot of going out and playing outside or calling people on the phone, and it's
mm-hmm.
like kids now just aren't going to grow up that way. God, when this has become the old people complain about stuff podcast.
Oops, age will do that to you. No, but you're totally right. Like, I tried so hard to have like younger friends, and to some extent, I have friends that are like a few years younger than me. But man, I feel because you know, I feel like younger people, for one, they don't like phone conversations. they, they do not like phone conversations. And if I have the time, which I normally don't have the time anymore because of all the freelance stuff I do, but if I have the time, I can hold a couple of hours of a phone conversation. I could be on the phone for quite a while. But yeah, younger people are a lot more into just like, oh, I'll send you this post. Oh, I'll send you this thing. Oh, we're gonna laugh at this for a moment, but then after we laugh at this, I'm gonna be on to something else, and you're just like, okay, want to have an in-depth talk about life? No, you know. All right, cool, fine. But yeah, enough of that because we are starting to sound like
Yeah.
super old people.
I mean, if you've never fallen asleep talking to somebody on the phone, then you haven't had that experience.
You haven't lived. Let me tell you, I could name drop, but I'm not going to. I literally, and this is the end of this conversation, but I have to say this because this is the coolest thing I have ever done in my life. Well, maybe not the coolest, but one of the coolest. I was in 5th grade and I literally managed to, on a landline telephone, have an 8-way conversation. That was the coolest thing I have ever done in my life.
That phone bill was probably
My grandmother was pissed, but luckily I was in 5th grade. She didn't know it was me. She thought it was my sister. And I said absolutely nothing. She was just like, yeah, y'all are here having, 8-way conversation. And I was just like, oh, wow, who would do that? What a shame. Well, I just play video games, Grandma. But yeah, enough of that. We are, wow, we are already coming up on an hour. So, we're gonna do a nice little free promotion section. So, Mike, you feel free to start that off.
wow, because I feel like I already did my free promotion earlier. But yep. So YouTube.com/Mike Text It Out. So I do 2 videos every week. Saturday I do the tech news. Tuesday I do I'll usually do a review. But I can't even talk right now. I usually do a review. I'll do like an unboxing. Just something that whatever I'm interested in that week. So I'm always coming out with new content. I'm always being expired. Oh my gosh. I'm always inspired by different things. So you should definitely check it out. If you like it, make sure to subscribe. I'm trying to go independent eventually. So
And he does accept special requests for things you want to have reviewed. So just keep that in mind. So, if you just bought the new Pa La 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 Pocket video game, he has you.
exactly. Just stream it to me, and I'll just watch you play it, and then I'll review it based on what I see.
Jesus.
I even do violin reviews.
Oh man. Yeah, and as for me, I you currently can find 2 of my books on Amazon. Especially they're available in both paperback edition as well as Kindle. It's called The Emancipation of Deborah James is the name of the first book. The name of the second one is The Emancipation, Dion's Baptism. Even though they are part of the same series, you don't necessarily have to read the first one in order to read the second one. But they obviously do have some very significant connections. So, yeah, check those out, please. Also, you can follow me on Instagram at oh Jesus, what is I think it's Dijon MC. I think it's just Dijon Mac. I try to keep my stuff as simple as possible. And yeah, on Twitter, look up Dijon. It's spelled just like the mustard, Dijon. You'll find me. I promise you, I'll pop up. There's not many people with that name. Yeah. What else do I have? Oh, if you need a book or any kind of audio stuff done, I'm your guy. I would love to narrate your book. I love to do any kind of voiceover, not necessarily just acting, but if you're like an insurance company, you're looking for someone to be like Did you know that if you drive for 5 hours, then you will become too sleepy in order to drive? Well, come by extremely irrelevant insurance company's insurance. I got you. I'm your voiceover guy for that too. So hey, hire me because I work and I love working a lot. Also, if you ever want to collaborate on a writing project, I'm there for you, whether it's film, books, whatever it is. I write almost everything. My primary things that I do are screenplays for film as well as books and poetry. So I love to collaborate with people. If you need an actor, I got you. Yeah, just hey, anything. I'm your man. I'm your freelance king over here. Know what I mean?
I felt like you let me go first because you knew mine was going to be quick.
Look, you were the one who pointed out, Dijon, you do a lot of stuff. And like until you said it, it hadn't hit me because I'm just like, I don't know. I guess I just do whatever comes to me. But after you pointed out, I was like, yeah, I have a pretty diverse range of talents, which I'm very proud of. But yeah, gotta be entertainment, man. It's crazy.
All right, so we're going to hope that everything went well with this recording this time. Our last time was completely 110% my fault. But we're going to bring this to a close. This is episode 1 of DMMR, which I will have the official meaning of what that is on the next episode. So if you want to find out what DMMR means, you need to tune into the next episode.
Yes, please tune in. And I will be happy to talk to you, to collaborate with you, to share my beautiful vocal voice with the world. No, I'm just kidding. I really do sing, but it don't sound nothing like that. Anyway, yeah.
Oh yeah, and this I should specify. This is probably going to be like a once a month podcast, so it's not going to be. I don't want to set people's expectations high because we got our stuff going on. We making this work. We making it work. So it's probably going to be once a month. And I have no idea what day this is going to go up. So whatever day this goes up, just follow that 4 weeks into the future, and that's when the next episode is going to be.
I think we could be a little more consistent and maybe do twice. Well, we'll see. We'll challenge the people. If we get X amount of views, I'm not going to say the number because it's a magic number. Then we will give you two a month. X amount of views. How does the greater it has to be at least over 50. I'm setting my expectations very, very low. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate it. You guys are great. Sleep well, eat well, exercise, love yourself, and mic you close.
And always do. And I'm not gonna do my mic text it out close. But all right, yep, that's it. This is episode 1 of DMMR. If you found this interesting, go ahead, tell a friend, tell a family member, tell everybody, and go ahead and check it out. Hopefully by the time this goes up, we'll be on iTunes, maybe Spotify. They've been iffy in the past. Stitcher, and I'll also post an RSS feed. And of course, we're going to have a YouTube channel set up. So make sure, especially to head over to the YouTube channel so we can get 100 subscribers and get a real URL.
Yeah.
All right, but until the next time, we are out.